All right, so this is a 2017 Maserati Ghibli base. I'm going to do the oil change. So this Maserati has 90,000 miles and it's a base, but from what I understand, it's the same process with the S and the SQ4. It's been really reliable, honestly. It's been pretty good. Um, been treating me well. Yeah, so it's not that difficult to do an oil change on these cars. Does require some a little bit taking apart of the intake, just a couple other things. So the main thing you got to know is the oil filter is right in there. That right there. That's the oil filter. Just need to kind of move some of these hoses. I guess I could start that now. Just kind of pop that off. You're going to need to take off the intake, the air intake housing. So I just use a flathead. Pop that clip off. That one, and there's one hidden back there. Pop that off. Might as well do both so you can check the filter. Vacuum the compartment as well. Make sure there's no big pieces of debris or leaves or whatever. Okay. Simple. Pop this out. I got a BMC filter, so it's reusable. Look at that. Got little flies and see all the debris in there. You're gonna need to definitely clean that out. This other side. There we go. Here's the other one. Also has a bunch of flies and gunk. Some of that oil. I recently re-oiled the filter. Might have put a lot of oil, but as long as none of it gets in there. Don't want to mess with the mass airflow sensor. So what you do is you want to vacuum all of this. And before you take out the filter, you want to put a rag or something right here. So on the, just in case the filter drips oil on the way out, it doesn't fall into the mess, into that compartment to mess with the mass airflow sensor. So that's one of the main things you got to kind of remember. And the oil that I use, it's the oil that is used at the dealers in my area. Penzoil Platinum Euro 540, full synthetic. I've used this, last 5 oil changes, and it's been great. Okay, so I have the oil filter with the housing cap in there. Obviously, I got a funnel. All right. So the tool that I'm going to use is going to be to take off the filter. Is going to be a 1/116. I have a little extender to reach in there. Once some of this stuff is out of the way, actually, I could probably reach it really well now. Oh yeah, perfect fit. Easy. You're just going to have to maneuver it on the way out. Make sure you have a rag underneath the filter. That way it doesn't drip into the whole compartment. What I do is I put a rag underneath the filter as it comes out. And I have another rag basically cradling the filter so it doesn't leak everywhere. That's how I do it anyways. All right, let's get started. All right, so every other oil change, I let the oil drain from the bottom, take off the panel, take off the drain plug, and I'll drain it on the bottom. But the other oil changes in between, I'll use the Mityvac Fluid Evacuator Plus. This basically sucks out the oil from the dipstick. Yep, so however long the dipstick is, that's the amount of this plastic tubing that goes in. Once I get that, then, I set it to where it extracts the liquid, and then the liquid goes in there, gets filled up. Usually about 7 liters come out. Yeah, so it's pretty simple. Let me measure this. Okay. All right, I think I got the measurement. It's a rough estimate. Doesn't have to be exact. Okay. All right. Using the pump, starting to come out. So go through the tube. I'll pump it about 7 times. So it'll take some time to extract the whole thing. You always want to do this after the car has been running in operating temperatures. So don't want it to sit too long before you start extracting it. That should be the first thing you do, actually. All right, that was probably about 10 pumps around there. So then you just got to wait till it all gets extracted out. While that's going on, I'm probably going to clean these intake compartments. So every so often, the extractor will reach a point where it's kind of reaching some air. So if that's the case, put it a little farther in. And then it'll get solid oil again. So about 5 minutes have gone by and it has extracted, I'd say that's about maybe 3 quarts. Give it a few more pumps. After repeated adjustments of the tube to get as much oil as I can, looks like I extracted, I don't know if you guys can see the tick marks. So this is 6 liter. Right here is 7 liter. It's just above the 7 liter. And 7 liters about 7.4 quarts. So if it's a little above that, 7.5 quarts, I'd say. So that's how much oils I'm gonna need to replace to make sure. Let me see if I can get a little more out. I think it's, yeah. You see, it's getting some air. So it looks like I might let it sit for 5-10 minutes, just a little longer. Let oil kind of collect at the bottom again. So the amount of oil that I extracted when I drained it from the bottom was identical to the amount of oil when I extract it from the top. So the only difference is, I mean, if there's any gunk or soot or anything that collects when you drain it from the bottom, you can probably, I mean, you'll drain that too. So you shouldn't, in my opinion, you shouldn't extract it from the top only. That's why I do it every other oil change. I'll drain it from the bottom and kind of check the condition of the oil. You can also check, see if there's anything in the oil filter, which I'll do this oil change. So I vacuumed the compartments, wiped excess oil off. I even vacuumed the filter, tried to clean that up as best I could. So that cover is ready to go on because, it doesn't interfere with the oil filter. This one I'm going to keep off. That's why I put a rag right here, because the filter is going to come out. It's going to come out through this little hole. I'm going to have to maneuver it out. And you don't want any oil getting in there. Definitely don't want any oil getting in there. So that's why I put a rag there. I'm going to put a rag underneath the filter. And then I'm going to use a third rag to kind of cradle the filter as I pull it out. So I put a rag in there underneath. Tucked it in as much as I could. I could probably tuck it in a little more. Definitely want to cover the belt. The belt is literally right next to the filter. So if in the process of taking out the filter you get oil on the belt, it's not good. You don't want the belt to slip at all. So you want to be careful with that. Okay, and then I have my third rag right here. So got to use both my hands. So visualize it. I'm going to loosen it up, and as I take it out, one hand is going to hold this and the other is going to get the filter, and I'm just going to cradle it on out. Make sure it doesn't leak everywhere. It could be very messy if you're not careful. and then pop in the new filter. Before you pop in the new filter, you got to make sure you oil the rings, then you'll be good to go. All right, filter's out. Really easy to take out. Just got to maneuver it a little bit. Not that big of a deal. The new filter is going to go in right there. You can see how much oil spilled. I've done this quite a few times. First time I did this, there was quite a bit of oil that kind of went down, so I took some time cleaning everything. It's like there's a drop on that hose I'm going to wipe off. But yeah, pretty simple to take that thing out. There it is. The new one's going to go in. So with the new oil filter, there are 3 rings you want to apply oil to. You got this green one right here. You got that black rubber ring, and you got the small rubber ring. You want to apply oil to all 3. Once you do that, then you can install it. All right, so there's oil applied to the 3 rings, and I'm going to try and maneuver it in. That way you guys can see how it came out. So I bring it through here. There we go. There it is. Got it in there. All right, you can see right there. Then you want to hand tighten it. Best you can. Once you hand tighten it, then you use, that's what I used to take it out. Just reverse the process. All right, new filter in. I'm going to wipe it down a little bit. And about 18 foot-pounds torque. Not too tight. You don't want to break anything and have a bunch of oil spew out. So I used a torque wrench to get the foot-pounds, get the right torque specs. Very simple. All right, now I got to put the filter in there, put the cover on that, get some oil in this thing, wipe that down a little. So I'm going to put 7.5 quarts. That is how much was extracted in the Mityvac. Oil time. And do this about 7.5 more times. So I put 7 quarts in. For the half quart, I have this left over from my last oil change, and it's a little bit more than half, I think. That's about half. So I'm slowly going to put in that half quart in, check with the dipstick. Once it's at level, then you kind of drive the car a little bit, get it to operating temps again, check it again, see if you need to add more. If you overfill, the beauty about this thing is you can extract as much as you need. Overfill, you don't have to go under the car and drain it and do any of that. Just extract it from the dipstick. Extract as much as you want, and if you extract too much, then you can just put the oil back in there. All right, and that's the oil change for the Ghibli.